Afternoon, everyone. We're going to go and get things started. We would like to welcome Patrick Cantlay here to the interview room at the Genesis Invitational. Patrick, making your 7th start here, and coming off, you have 4 consecutive top 25s here. What's it like to be back and being a Southern California native, kind of your home event?
Yeah, definitely. It's a tournament I went to growing up as a little kid with my dad and my grandpa, and then played NCAAs here when I was in college at UCLA in my last year there. And it's a golf course that I think is one of the best, if not the best, on tour. So I love being here this week.
Do you have any specific memories coming here with your family growing up?
Yeah, I remember coming to the tournament with my dad and my grandpa and getting stuck in the rain. It was one of those rain-soaked tournaments, and it was just tough to get out. I remember we sat in traffic for 2-3 hours leaving the golf tournament.
And you mentioned one of your favorite golf courses. What makes it here at Riviera?
I think it defends par without getting tricked up better than any golf course I've ever been to. They rarely grow any rough. There's basically no rough out there. There's no water. You only can really hit it out of bounds on the 12th hole. And yet 13, 14, 15, 16 under win pretty much every time. And they could make it a lot harder if they wanted to. And they give you the first hole as a par 5 with a 3-wood and a 7-iron. So I think it's an amazing test of golf.
And you're coming off a very exciting week last time we spoke to you. Just from in Phoenix, have you had any other thoughts from the playoff?
Yeah, I obviously played really well all week, played solid, had 2 rounds with no bogeys on a golf course that I had never seen before. And so my game's in a really good spot. Obviously, I would have liked to get over the finish line, but I did as best I possibly could, and that was the result. And sometimes that's how it goes, and I'm really happy for Scotty to get his first win because he's a great guy and he deserved it. He played great.
We'll go and open to the media. If you have questions, go and raise your hand and we will get a microphone over to you. We're going to start off over here in the corner.
Yeah, Patrick, that was an extremely rational reading of losing a dramatic tournament in the playoff. Is it that simple? Are you able to keep it that simple in your own mind that you played awesome and just came up just short? Or is there frustration? What's that process like?
I think it is that simple. I think Jack Nicklaus finished second in majors 20 times and won 18. And so no one would ever say, oh, he should have won more tournaments. It's just sometimes that's how golf is. It's 1 versus 120 or 1 versus 156, and it's hard to win.
We'll go to the back of the room.
Hey, Patrick. Welcome back here. Welcome home. Curious, any specific memories at all about the coming here and watching the golf? Anything that stand out that you recall from the earlier days?
I remember being very little and standing by one of the greens, might have been the old 8th green, and it was maybe a back hole location. And I remember being there with my dad and my grandpa and not being more than, I don't know, 10 paces from the hole location or something like that, and being amazed at watching 3 golf balls in a row all come in and all be right there in front of me, because in my head I was like, well, we might get hit standing here. We're that close, and yet they all came in there. Must have been a wedge hole, and they all had inside 10 feet for birdie. I remember being amazed.
And we'll stick to this front side.
Being someone from Southern California, what are the challenges of Kikuyu, and how important is it to have some experience on the Kikuyu and the Poa greens?
I think most people's problem with Kikuyu is they never play on Kikuyu. There aren't very many places in the world where we see this grass. Even the other LA courses don't really have Kikuyu. And so anytime you have to play on a surface that you've never played on before, or play very rarely, it's difficult. I fortunately grew up Southern California, and so I like the Kikuyu grass and don't think it's that particularly difficult.
Front here with Doug.
Speaking of early days, were you the kind of kid that was trying to get someone's autograph, or did that not interest you?
I'm not sure. I can't remember ever asking for autographs. I do remember Justin Rose flipping a golf ball to me, and I thought that was pretty cool. No. Yeah.
Go to the back here.
Another quick one. Any thoughts on early memories of watching Tiger here at all, or any specific things that you recall?
I don't really remember watching or following Tiger at this tournament. I think I only came to watch as a junior 2, 3, 4 times, and I can't recall watching Tiger at this tournament. Although I'm sure he was here.
And Bob in the front.
Just curious if last week that atmosphere, does it help? Does it propel you? Or do you find yourself playing better in that, especially when you consider where we were like a year ago with, nobody out there?
I like to think that for me it makes no difference. I think it's good for the game that people are excited about golf, and they're obviously very excited about their golf there that week. But I like to think that I'm as focused as I possibly can be on the golf regardless of the circumstances.
And Adam just right behind.
Patrick, when Max won here last year, he talked about how much he wanted to win this particular event. Do you feel the same way? And you mentioned it didn't, it stings probably a little bit losing Phoenix, but did it really hurt when you lost here in 2018?
2018, who won?
Not you.
Well, I know that.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. I'm trying to win every tournament that I show up to. I think this one would be special for a number of reasons, being hometown on my favorite golf course on tour. And I'm hoping that someday my day will be here at this golf course and I'll be able to win.
Go in the back here with Rex.
Patrick, to kind of go off of Bob's comments, the atmosphere last week in Scottsdale, what would be your thoughts if that became more of a regular occurrence from week in to week out?
It would be hard to imagine beer cans getting thrown on the greens every week. Somehow I just don't see it happening. There are obviously pros and cons. I think it's, like I said, it's great to have people excited about golf, and maybe the answer is to have more exciting events around golf tournaments to be able to get people to come out and watch the golf. But that is not my expertise. I am not an expert at running golf tournaments. I'm an expert at playing in them. So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting to see if more tournaments try and follow that model.
And we'll stay in the back, Kira.
Patrick, I spoke with Sahith Thigala about what have been the best moments for him over the past few months, and he said playing in the final round of Amex with you was one of the best things he's gotten to do recently. Can you comment a little bit on what it was like for you playing with him and your thoughts on his recent success? Yeah,
he's a SoCal kid and obviously very impressive. He's been playing great golf lately. He played well in the desert and played well, obviously great last week. He's a really nice kid. I think I've only played that one round with him, so I don't know him all that well. But hearing his story and spending a little time with him in Palm Springs, definitely rooting for him going forward.
And back to that.
Kind of off Phoenix, because I wasn't there last week, and I don't know that I've seen an answer on this. Your putt on 17, the birdie attempt.
Yep.
What was that? What did it hit?
Oh, on 16.
Oh, 16, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it hit a big rock that I couldn't see.
A rock.
Yes, probably from out of the bunker, and so it basically stopped that ball in its tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a big line? I had two more. Given your play, frankly, since last August or so, I would be curious what, in your mind, would constitute a bad week. Can it take a different shape or form?
Any week that you don't win is not an ideal week.
You're not going to have a lot of ideal weeks then. That's the nature
No,
of golf.
that's the nature of it. And so trying to find the right perspective where you never get satisfied with finishing second or third, while at the same time recognizing that if you're competing to win tournaments often, that will happen, is one that I try to walk the line really finely. I try to do my best to understand and realize that seconds and thirds and playoff losses are going to happen, while at the same time never being satisfied with all top 10 finishes this year. The goal is to win tournaments, and so far this year I've been shut out.
If you had to describe last week in one word, you can have a couple more if you need it, what would it be?
Raucous.
For you, I mean, your performance last week, you would consider it?
I played really solid. I felt like I always kept going forward. I didn't make too many bogeys, and on a golf course that I hadn't seen before, I thought I played really well. I drove the ball well, putted well, and I feel like my game's in a really good spot.
In terms of walking that fine line that you just mentioned, what's the one time you really fell off bad on the other side? In other words, what one moment or loss or whatever you want to call it was the hardest for you to swallow?
Last week?
No, anytime. I prefer on tour, but you can go back to when you're 8. It's fine with me. But was there a loss that just stung you for longer than others?
That's a good question. Not one that really sticks out. I mean, they all sting. None of them feel good. And you always think to yourself with some revisionist history that you could have done it differently and had a different outcome, although that's never the case.
Can I ask one more? Kind of on a roll here. Because Colin had brought up one of your favorite topics, which would be the PIP. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about, $50 million here and $10 million on the Play 15 program, and he thought the money could have been better spent. He just didn't have an idea at the moment how it could have been better spent, and I wanted to see if you had any ideas.
I think I'm old school in the respect that I would like the money to be doled out relative to play, and I don't think the PIP does that. And it may be the first departure that the tour has had from rewarding good play to rewarding social media or popularity presence. And so I don't like that departure.
While we have the mic, we'll go Alex and then over to the back corner.
Patrick, I guess there's a lot to follow up on that, but first of all, if the social media or whatever it is drives more interest and more fans to the PGA Tour versus somebody's victory, does that make sense that then you would put money towards that?
The best way I can think of on the spot to answer that would be with a question, and it's, do you think the tour should be incentivizing it? Because that's my gripe. People are going to promote themselves on social media anyway, and we've definitely seen that. The question is whether the tour should also be incentivizing that.
The other thing is in regards to winning and playing just okay, which can happen out here, or playing the best golf of your life and not winning, can you balance those two, and which one is more important to you?
Golf is such a game of not perfect that it feels like if I could ever play the best golf of my life, as good as I could possibly play, most assuredly I would think that I would win that week. Because most weeks, I don't know if I've ever had a week where I said I played as good as I possibly could have ever played. I will tell you, anytime you're up near the lead and feel as though you have a chance to win, if you don't win, it stings and it hurts. You're going to rival Doug here. You're going to rival Doug for getting on a roll.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
This is like the only time we ever get you guys have to plan on. Does a playoff loss mean harder to deal with than a non-playoff loss?
No.
And go ahead. over here. In the
Are
back
we
corner.
finished, Doug? Thank you. I'm going to rally kill here, Patrick. We're now several tournaments into the new rules on green books and green reading books. Has there been any impact for you, or have you seen any impact on the way golf's being played out on the course, or the flow of the rounds, or anything like that?
I don't think I've seen a significant change. Although I don't think the wording of the rule, how it's written, is particularly great. Although I do think it's good that the greens books don't exist. It's a little bit of a shame that the greens books exist at all, because being able to go back and reference those it's in your hotel, it's kind of unfortunate that these greens are mapped to the square foot, because it would be inherently part of the challenge of golf.
And we'll go and finish up here with Adam.
Your instructor, Jamie Mulligan, named PGA Teaching Pro of the Year. You know, that's a very subjective thing. I'm sure you're proud that he's done that, gotten that accomplishment. But why is he deserving of that award?
Obviously, I'm thrilled for Jamie. We started working when I was 8 or 9 years old, and so I think he definitely deserves it. I think one of the interesting things about Jamie compared to maybe some of the other coaches out here is that he's worked with a number of players from junior and high school golf and taken them to the PGA Tour. And I might be the best example of one of his students that have done that. But he's taken multiple people from not playing the tour to playing the tour, opposed to being a tour coach that takes a player once he's actually got his tour card. And so I think that's incredibly impressive that he's taken a number of players from no tour card to tour card. And I'm glad to see him win the award and get some recognition.
Thank you. That's all the questions we have. We wish you the best of luck this week, Patrick.
Thank you.